Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, considering that there is one more member who signified his intention to deliver his privileged speech, we move for an extension of the privileged hour for another 15 minutes.
Any objection? There being none, privileged hour is closed.
We now recognize the representative from the 2nd District of Palawan, Honorable Victorino Dennis Socrates, to deliver his privileged speech.
The distinguished gentleman from Palawan is recognized.
Good evening, Mr. Speaker. Good evening, distinguished colleagues, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. This is about contemplating trial by jury in our criminal justice system, triggered by questions of personal security, of protecting the lives of citizens, and for that matter, of politicians, and the apparent inadequacy of our criminal justice system in that regard. It bothers this representation, Mr. Speaker, that two of my best friends have already been killed, murdered, as victims of what were obviously political assassinations. I am referring to Fernando Dong Batul, a former vice mayor of Puerto Princesa City, who was felled by assassins' bullets on the morning of May 22, 2006. And to Dr. Gerardo Ortega, a former provincial board member of Palawan, who was gunned down very recently on the morning of January 24, 2011. Much has been made of the fact that both Dong Batul and Doc Jerry were hard-hitting, courageous, and idealistic broadcasters. But yes, they were also politicians. In a very real sense, our colleagues in this noble calling of politics, of public governance. Dong Batul was like a younger brother to this representation. He and I were running mates in the 2001 elections, in which he was elected as vice mayor and this representation as mayor of Puerto Princesa City. We were also almost simultaneously unseated without completing the 3-year term of office. Vice Mayor Dong Batul by way of an election protest, and this representation by way of a recall election. Together, Dong Batul and I ran again for our former positions in the 2004 elections, and after losing together, we co-hosted a radio show until his tragic, untimely demise. Yesterday, May 22, 2011, was the 5th anniversary of Dong Batul's assassination. And tomorrow, May 24, would also be his 41st birthday. And so, I wish to take this opportunity as well to greet Dong Batul a happy Dies Natalis in his present heavenly abode. But the point in invoking this privilege of being heard by this august chamber and by our nation, the substance of my gripe is that the gunman who was charged with the murder of Dong Batul was acquitted. Days after the assassination of my friend, former Vice Mayor Dong Batul, several witnesses came forward to testify that they saw the actual shooting incident and knew and could identify one of the two gunmen who murdered Dong Batul. That one whom they knew and could name was Police Officer Aaron Golifardo. Based on the sworn statements of these witnesses, an information was filed in the Regional Trial Court in Puerto Princesa City, docketed as criminal case number 21309, entitled People of the Philippines, Plaintiff versus Police Officer 1, Aaron Golifardo, and John Doe, accused for murder. Trial proceeded only against PO1 Golifardo because the co-accused John Doe was never found, nor his true name ascertained. This representation was one of the panel of private prosecutors in the proceedings representing the family of the late Dong Batul. That is, until I assumed this present position as a humble member of this august body. The defense took the line of alibi. Surprisingly, and to the mind of this representation, unfortunately, despite positive identification by eyewitnesses whose credibility were unimpeached, in a judgment promulgated very recently while this House was on its last recess, decision was rendered acquitting Police Officer Golifardo of that charge. Mr. Speaker, I am not complaining about the acquittal of Police Officer Golifardo, nor against the judge who rendered the decision. Nevertheless, based on knowledge from my direct participation in the proceedings, I think that the outcome should have been a conviction rather than an acquittal, a thinking which I know is shared by many. But like all acquittals, that judgment is immediately final and executory and not appealable because of the constitutional right of the accused not to be twice placed in jeopardy of punishment for the same offense. Thus, to revisit here the merits of that case would be like crying over spilled lugaw. What is more worth our while is to consider the possibility of adopting the institution of trial by jury in our criminal justice system. Under the present state of Philippine law, the judge presiding over a case decides questions of fact based on the evidence, as well as questions of law based on his technical knowledge and interpretation of existing statutes and jurisprudence. But, as the example of the Dong Batul murder case shows, such a decision arrived at by the judge hearing the case can leave in its wake widespread feelings of dissatisfaction and a sense that justice was not done. The judge may also be vulnerable, unfair though it may be, to suspicions that his judgment was motivated by considerations other than an honest and competent appraisal of the facts based on evidence and of the law and jurisprudence applicable. On the other hand, in a system of trial by jury, at least for purposes of this present discussion, the judge will continue to decide questions of law as they may arise in the course of the proceedings based on his technical knowledge and understanding of law and jurisprudence. But the questions of fact, which depend on a human subjective appraisal of the evidence presented, will be decided by a jury, that is, a previously empaneled group of ordinary citizens, after discussing and deliberating among themselves towards achieving unanimity, especially regarding the guilt or innocence of the accused. In the not-so-distant past, discussions among the bench and bar regarding the merits of adopting a system of trial by jury ended up dismissing the idea as not feasible because A, the average citizen is supposedly not politically mature enough to be entrusted with determining the guilt or innocence of the accused in a criminal case, and letter B, because of the time, effort, and expense that selecting and maintaining a jury would cost during the trial period. To the contrary, this representation submits that A, if the average citizen is deemed politically mature enough to decide who will represent him in this august chamber, the average citizen is certainly capable of determining the guilt or innocence of the accused in a criminal case. And B, considering the immense time, effort, and expense cases already cost at present, the additional costs, if any, net of savings on shorter deliberation time, would only be marginal or negligible. But we would then have the satisfaction of knowing that the evidence was seen and evaluated, and the guilt or innocence of the accused discussed